ExamPrep.School. Montana Health Insurance Exam, exam code InsMT-Health02 or OPMT-Health02. There are 4 practice exams in this series. This video covers Practice Exam 1. The first 20 questions are free. In this video, we will be covering the following major categories for Practice Exam 1. Field Underwriting Procedures. Montana statutes and rules common to life and health. Montana statutes and rules pertinent to health only. Other insurance concepts. Policy provisions, clauses, and riders. Social insurance. Types of policies. Let's walk through the format. I'll read each question and its choices. Let's get started. Question 1. In a disability income policy, total disability is defined as the insured's inability to perform the material and substantial duties of the regular occupation, whereas partial disability is defined as A. Inability to engage in any occupation for which the insured is reasonably suited. B. Inability to perform the material duties of any occupation. C. Ability to perform some duties but with a reduction in earnings. D. Return to full pre-disability capacity with supplemental limitations. A countdown circle appears in the top right. Once it completes, the answer is revealed. You can pause at any time if you'd like, longer to think. If you'd like additional practice covering more topics, see the description for our book. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is that partial disability permits the insured to perform some occupational duties with reduced earnings, distinguishing it from total disability, which requires inability to perform material duties. Reason A is not correct. This describes any occupation total disability, not partial disability. Reason B is not correct. This also describes total disability rather than partial disability. Reason D is not correct. This implies full recovery, which is inconsistent with any disability definition. Question 2. Which statement best describes how a residual disability benefit is calculated under a disability income policy? A. It is proportional to the percentage of lost earnings compared to pre-disability income. And B. It pays the full monthly benefit regardless of partial return to work. C. It requires a new elimination period before any benefit is paid. D. It provides a lump sum equal to the difference between pre- and post-disability salary. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is that residual disability benefits are based on the proportion of lost earnings relative to pre-disability income, ensuring benefits match income loss. Reason B is not correct. Paying the full benefit regardless of work return describes total disability coverage, not residual benefits. Reason C is not correct. Residual benefits do not reset the elimination period before payment. Reason D is not correct. Benefits are paid monthly and proportional, not as a lump sum. Question 3. The elimination period in a disability income policy serves primarily as A. A cap on total benefits payable during a specified period. B. A time deductible that delays benefit payments for a set number of days. C. An adjustment to benefit amounts based on medical approvals. D. A waiting period after the benefit period expires. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is that the elimination period functions as a time deductible, delaying benefit payments until the specified waiting period has elapsed. Reason A is not correct. A cap refers to maximum benefit limits, not the elimination period. Reason C is not correct. Benefit adjustments by medical approval are not related to the elimination period. Reason D is not correct. The elimination period precedes benefit payments, not follows benefit expiration. Question 4. How does selecting a longer benefit period, for example 5 years instead of 2 years, typically affect a disability income policy's premium? A. It lowers the premium due to longer amortization of risk. B. It has no impact on premium since benefit period does not influence cost. C. It shifts cost to a higher deductible structure. D. It increases the premium because the insurer's risk period is extended. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is that extending the benefit period increases the premium, as the insurer assumes a longer duration of potential benefit payments. Reason A is not correct. Longer benefit periods increase rather than lower premiums due to increased risk exposure. Reason B is not correct. Benefit period selection directly influences premium cost. Reason C is not correct. Cost shifting to a deductible structure refers to elimination periods, not benefit periods. Question 5. A 35-year-old architect holds a disability income policy that uses an any occupation definition. He suffers an injury that prevents him from drafting plans but allows him to work as a building inspector. Under his policy's terms, what benefit outcome applies? A. He continues receiving full benefits because his policy only requires inability to perform his own occupation. B. He receives full benefits because inability to work as an architect qualifies under the policy. C. He receives a reduced benefit reflecting his capacity to earn as a building inspector. D. He receives no benefits because he can perform alternate work for which he is suited. The correct answer is D. This option is correct because an any occupation definition requires that the insured be unable to perform any job for which they are reasonably suited. Since the architect can work as a building inspector, no benefits are payable under any occupation terms. Reason A is not correct. This describes an own occupation definition, which is not applicable in this policy. Reason B is not correct. This rationale incorrectly treats the policy as own occupation, which pays benefits when the insured cannot perform their specific occupation. Reason C is not correct. Partial benefits would apply under a partial disability provision, not under an any occupation definition. Question 6. An executive purchases a disability income policy stating that the insurer cannot cancel coverage or increase premiums for the life of the policy. Which policy type best describes these provisions? A. A policy that cannot be canceled by the insurer and locks in the original premium schedule. B. A policy guaranteeing annual renewal but allowing the insurer to adjust premium rates by class. C. A policy that the insurer may cancel at any time upon giving notice to the insured. D. A policy that grants the insurer an option to discontinue coverage at each anniversary. The correct answer is A. This option is correct because a non-cancelable policy prevents the insurer from canceling coverage or raising premiums at any time, guaranteeing both renewal and fixed rates. Reason B is not correct. This describes guaranteed renewable coverage, which guarantees renewal but allows premium adjustments for the entire insured class. Reason C is not correct. This describes a cancelable policy which permits the insurer to cancel coverage at will with proper notification. Reason D is not correct. This describes optionally renewable coverage, which allows the insurer to choose renewal at each anniversary. Question 7. A mid-size firm secures a key employee disability policy on its lead product designer to protect operations. What is the primary business purpose of this coverage? A. To provide a lump sum payment to cover all general operating expenses. B. To reimburse the lead designer for lost personal income during disability. C. To secure funds to recruit and train a temporary replacement for the disabled designer. D. To fund continued employee benefits until the designer returns to work. The correct answer is C. This option is correct because the main goal of key employee disability insurance is to provide funds for recruitment, training, or other expenses to maintain business continuity when a vital employee is disabled. Reason A is not correct. Funds for general operating expenses are not the specific purpose of key employee disability insurance. Reason B is not correct. This describes standard disability coverage for the employee, not a business policy on the key person. Reason D is not correct. While benefits continuity is important, the policy's focus is on replacement costs rather than funding benefits. Question 8. Which of the following is typically not covered by a traditional basic hospital, medical, and surgical expense policy? A. Daily hospital room and board charges. B. Surgical expenses for specified procedures. C. Diagnostic laboratory and X-ray services. D. Durable medical equipment such as prosthetic appliances. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is durable medical equipment because basic hospital, medical, and surgical policies typically include only room and board, surgical, and medical diagnostic benefits, excluding equipment like prosthetics. Reason A is not correct. Daily hospital room and board charges are core coverage in basic hospital policies. Reason B is not correct. Surgical expenses for specified procedures are covered under the surgical expense core coverage. Reason C is not correct. Diagnostic laboratory and X-ray services are included under medical expense coverage. Question 9. In a traditional major medical insurance plan, what is the primary function of the corridor deductible? A. It serves as the initial amount the insured must pay before any benefits under the policy apply. B. It represents the portion of covered expenses shared by the insurer and insured based on a fixed percentage. C. It establishes the maximum out-of-pocket expense the insured will be required to pay in a policy period. D. It is an additional deductible applied after basic coverage limits are exhausted and before major medical benefits commence. The correct answer is D. The corridor deductible is an additional deductible that the insured must satisfy after the basic coverage limit is reached and before the insurer begins paying major medical benefits under the co-insurance arrangement. Reason A is not correct. That describes the initial deductible, not the corridor deductible. Reason B is not correct. That describes co-insurance, not a deductible feature. Reason C is not correct. That defines an out-of-pocket maximum rather than a corridor deductible. Question 10. Which cost-sharing components typically count toward an insured's out-of-pocket maximum in a major medical plan? A. Premium payments and non-covered service charges. B. Only co-insurance payments after the deductible is met. C. Deductible amounts, co-insurance payments, and co-payments. D. Expenses paid by third parties or other insurance policies. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is deductible amounts, co-insurance payments, and co-payments because these cost-sharing elements accumulate toward the out-of-pocket maximum, whereas premiums, non-covered charges, and third-party payments do not. Reason A is not correct. Premiums and non-covered charges do not accumulate toward the out-of-pocket maximum. Reason B is not correct. Co-insurance alone is not sufficient. Deductibles and co-payments also count. Reason D is not correct. Expenses covered by other payers are excluded from the insured's out-of-pocket total. Question 11. Which statement correctly distinguishes between a co-payment and co-insurance in medical insurance plans? A. A co-payment is a percentage of covered costs after the deductible, while co-insurance is a fixed fee paid at each service. B. A co-payment applies only to inpatient services, whereas co-insurance applies only to outpatient services. C. A co-payment is a fixed fee required at the time of service, while co-insurance is a percentage of covered expenses after the deductible. D. A co-payment accumulates toward the policy limit, whereas co-insurance does not count toward any limitation. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is that a co-payment is a fixed fee required at the time of service, while co-insurance is a percentage of covered expenses after the deductible, accurately differentiating the two cost-sharing methods. Reason A is not correct. That statement reverses the definitions of co-payment and co-insurance. Reason B is not correct. Neither cost-sharing method is exclusively limited to inpatient or outpatient services. Reason D is not correct. Both copayments and coinsurance can accumulate towards certain out-of-pocket limits. Question 12. AP. Paisite. O-Plan offers 20% coinsurance for in-network providers and 40% for out-of-network providers. Network providers contractually discount billed charges by 15%. If a plan participant receives a $1,200 imaging service from a network provider, how much more will the participant pay out of pocket compared to obtaining the same service from an out-of-network provider? A. The participant will pay $276 more out of pocket for the service. B. The plan will pay $276 more toward the service cost. C. The non-network provider will accept a 15% contractual discount on billed charges. D. The in-network provider may balance bill the participant for any remaining amount. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is that the participant will pay $276 more out of pocket because the in-network allowed amount is $1,020 after a 15% discount, resulting in $204 coinsurance compared to $480 coinsurance for out-of-network, a difference of $276. Reason B is not correct. The plan's payment difference is not the primary network incentive focus. The calculation pertains to participant cost sharing. Reason C is not correct. Non-network providers do not accept contractual discounts. Only network providers agree to those rates. Reason D is not correct. In-network providers are prohibited from balance billing under PPO network agreements. Question 13. An HMO requires primary care physician referrals before covering specialist visits. A member self-refers to a cardiologist without obtaining a referral. What is the most likely coverage outcome under this gatekeeper model? A. The service will be denied, and the member will be responsible for the full charge. B. The service will be covered at a higher coinsurance rate. C. The service will be covered as preventive care with no cost sharing. D. The service will be paid if the primary care physician co-signs the specialist's report later. The correct answer is A. This service will be denied because HMOs enforce gatekeeper requirements. Without a valid referral, specialist services are not covered, and the member must pay the full cost. Reason B is not correct. Coverage is not provided at a different coinsurance rate when gatekeeper requirements are not met. Services are simply denied. Reason C is not correct. Specialist services without referral are not covered as preventive care. Reason D is not correct. Retrospective co-signing does not satisfy the referral requirement in an HMO gatekeeper model. Question 14. A point-of-service plan combines HMO features with PPO flexibility. Under this model, how are out-of-network services generally handled compared to in-network services? A. Out-of-network services are subject to a separate deductible and higher coinsurance. B. Specialist referrals are not required for any services. C. No coverage is available for services outside the network. D. Enrollees have unrestricted free choice of providers with identical cost sharing. The correct answer is A. Under a point-of-service plan, members may obtain care outside the network but typically must meet a separate deductible and pay higher coinsurance to access those services. Reason B is not correct. Referrals may still be required for in-network services under this model. Reason C is not correct. POS plans do provide coverage for out-of-network services, unlike pure HMO plans. Reason D is not correct. Cost sharing differs for in-network and out-of-network providers, so terms are not identical. Question 15. Which statement best describes the primary difference between individual health underwriting and group health underwriting approaches? A. Individual underwriting requires evidence of insurability from each applicant, whereas group underwriting evaluates only the employer group profile. B. Group underwriting assesses risk based on collective group characteristics rather than individual medical evaluations. C. Individual underwriting pools risk only among family members, whereas group underwriting spreads risk across all plan participants. D. Group underwriting mandates individual medical exams for all participants, whereas individual underwriting often accepts self-reported health data. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is that group underwriting uses the employer's collective data to assess risk, rather than evaluating each individual's medical history, which is the hallmark of individual underwriting. Reason A is not correct. This reverses the roles since individual underwriting, not group underwriting, requires individual evidence of insurability. Reason C is not correct. This distractor misstates that individual underwriting pools family risk rather than assessing each applicant separately. Reason D is not correct. This is incorrect because group underwriting generally does not require full medical exams for all participants. Question 16. Under group health insurance concepts, what term refers to the rule requiring a minimum percentage of eligible employees to enroll in the plan? A. Participation requirement. B. Contributory percentage. C. Eligibility ratio. D. Employer mandate. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is the participation requirement, which mandates that a specified portion of eligible employees must enroll to guard against adverse selection and ensure plan viability. Reason B is not correct. Contributory percentage refers to the share of premium paid by participants, not the minimum enrollment threshold. Reason C is not correct. Eligibility ratio might sound similar, but does not define the required enrollment percentage for coverage to take effect. Reason D is not correct. Employer mandate relates to legal obligations for employers, not to the percentage of eligible employees who must enroll. Question 17. Which explanation best describes the role of employer contribution requirements in maintaining group health plan stability? A. They ensure minimal employer involvement in plan administration to reduce liability. B. They subsidize premiums to encourage enrollment and mitigate adverse selection. C. They allocate claims costs equally among employees regardless of risk. D. They establish individual premium payments based on each participant's health history. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is that requiring employer contributions helps subsidize premiums, encouraging broad enrollment and reducing adverse selection within the group risk pool. Reason A is not correct. Employer contribution rules are about funding, not about reducing administrative liability. Reason C is not correct. Claims cost allocation relates to experience rating, not to contribution requirements for stability. Reason D is not correct. Individual premium payments based on health history describe individual underwriting, not group contribution rules. Question 18. Clara works 35 hours per week and participates in her employer's group health plan, which requires at least 30 hours weekly for eligibility. When her hours drop to 28 per week, coverage for Clara, her spouse, and their children terminates. Under COBRA, which of the following is true regarding continuation coverage eligibility? A. Only Clara may elect a continuation coverage. B. Clara and her spouse may elect continuation coverage, but not their children. C. Clara, her spouse, and all dependent children may elect continuation coverage. D. Clara and her minor children may elect continuation coverage, but not her spouse. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is that the employee and all covered dependents may elect COBRA continuation coverage when plan eligibility ends due to a reduction in hours. COBRA extends eligibility to the employee, spouse, and dependent children under qualifying events such as loss of eligibility. Reason A is not correct. This is incorrect because COBRA rights extend to covered dependents as well as the employee when eligibility ends. Reason B is not correct. This is incorrect because dependent children also have COBRA continuation rights under a loss of eligibility event. Reason D is not correct. This is incorrect because the spouse is also a covered dependent eligible for continuation coverage. Question 19. Mark was involuntarily terminated from his job and elects COBRA continuation coverage under his group health plan. Under federal COBRA rules, what is the maximum period that Mark may continue coverage as a terminated employee? A. 9 months. B. 29 months. C. 18 months. D. 36 months. The correct answer is C. The maximum continuation period for an employee who loses coverage due to termination or reduction of hours is 18 months under COBRA. Extensions beyond 18 months apply only in limited circumstances, such as disability, or for certain dependents under different qualifying events. Reason A is not correct. This is incorrect because 9 months is not a COBR, a maximum continuation period for terminations. Reason B is not correct. This is incorrect because the 29-month period applies only when a disability extension is granted, not the standard term. Reason D is not correct. This is incorrect because 36 months applies only to certain dependents after events like divorce or death, not to the terminated employee's initial period. Question 20. After a qualifying event, an employer must provide notice to the plan administrator, and then the plan administrator must deliver an election notice to qualified beneficiaries. Under COBRA requirements, which statement correctly matches the notice responsibilities? A. The employer must notify the plan administrator within 10 days of a qualifying event. B. Plan administrator must provide the election notice within 30 days of the qualifying event. C. Employer must notify the plan administrator within 30 days of the qualifying event, and the plan administrator must provide the election notice within 14 days of receiving that notification. D. Qualified beneficiary must notify the plan administrator of a divorce within 60 days of the qualifying event. The correct answer is C. COBRA requires the employer to notify the plan administrator within 30 days of a qualifying event, and then the plan administrator must send the election notice to qualified beneficiaries within 14 days of receiving that notice from the employer. Reason A is not correct. This is incorrect because the employer has 30 days, not 10, to notify the plan administrator. Reason B is not correct. This is incorrect because the plan administrator must send the election notice within 14 days after notification, not 30 days after the event. Reason D is not correct. This is incorrect because the qualified beneficiary must notify the plan administrator of a divorce within 60 days only of seeking disability extension, not generally. Enjoyed this practice test? Tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with a classmate. Got a question we should tweak? Comment below, we read them all. Find full practice exam books in the description or at ExamPrep.School.